Welcome back, guys, to Apollo Justice as we move from the gig hall to the courtroom with Machi, our defendant, not able to speak to us and even tell us what happened to him. Supposedly, he's the only one that the courts consider could have done it, the prosecution. But I'm imagining Clavier has hired us on, or told Machi to use us as defendant. After all, Machi can't talk to us, or can't really say our name, for a purpose. Let's find out. See if we can remove the clouds from the clear sky a little bit. Court is now in session for, how do I say that? Machi, Your Honor, the pixie of the Arpeggio. Right, his trial. Court is in session. Defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK, Herr Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statement, yeah? No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What'd you say to them? I mean, you wouldn't say get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down. What are you talking about?
Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial, the Chief Justice's son.
The Chief Justice?
His son is afflicted with a most terrible disease.
Why are we being told this?
He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day.
Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for?
In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly.
You're in luck, Herr Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Letouze, age 35. The global manager for Diva Songstress, Lamiroir. The cause of death, blood loss, due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details.
The court accepts this into evidence.
Right, so we've got that. The autopsy report, we should look at that.
45 caliber. That's quite large, isn't it? Yes, it is. And we're going to find exactly how much trauma it caused.
Death due to loss of blood from a gunshot wound. Estimated time of death 9 to 9:30 p.m. Blood loss due to 45 caliber. That's not caliber spelled correctly. We know that much. Caliber bullet wound. Time elapsed between shooting and death. Currently under review. So that might get updated, maybe. Obviously, he just bled out, or is the shock or trauma maybe internally? I don't know. It didn't look like he bled out. There wasn't really enough blood, but then this kind of game doesn't want to put someone in a pool of blood, do they?
A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. However,
the bullet struck him in his shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved.
I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse considering.
So his blood loss we're going with. 2 shots were fired. 1 shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall of the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit.
I see. The court accepts this evidence.
Question. Just about one of the shots here. Wouldn't it have had to pass through 2 walls?
If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use.
Really? Yeah, apparently weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body.
A defense will take more care in choosing examples.
Again, another proof that the kid couldn't have done it. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage, in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door.
That does seem to be the case, yes.
However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots. He's talking about you and Emma, huh? And when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course.
But that's impossible.
Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person.
One person?
So you're saying based on the being able to fit out through a vent or that silly window, is that why he's being picked? Because he's a child? Is that really why?
That is, of course, the defendant, Machi. Only this defendant could have committed the crime. But how?
It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear.
Very well. I assume you have testimony to back up this claim? Let the witness please take the stand.
Right then, Emma. Your name and profession, please. Emma Skye. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night. Emma seems tired somehow. We should have been up all night doing stuff. She's probably a very good detective.
Security at the concert, you say?
Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder.
Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know.
I'm sure that makes her feel much better. I want to hear about these bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony, if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day, and your discovery of the crime, please. Alright. The murderous circumstances. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room, filled with blaring rock music, and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it. See, there's not so much wrong with Emma's testimony apart from the end. She's not going to lie. But really, at the moment, they're deciding the only person who could have done it is the only person who probably could have escaped.
It was lucky the detective was the first on the scene.
That door was the only way out of the room, right? Yeah, pretty much. Then, I don't get it. How can they say that Machi did it? Looks like we need a bit more information.
Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination.
I do wonder, do I even have to bother pressing the first few statements? It's more the ones at the end, isn't it? I mean, true. 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 And this is the only one it could have been. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it. Why? How could you know something like that? As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen, we know there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent. But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly... Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through. Nor me. Only one who could fit through was a child. A child. Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved with the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child.
The defendant?
The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up toward the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime. But that's just conjecture. Oh, there was no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Herr Forehead. And there is another vital piece of evidence. Evidence? What? Marks were found on the air vent grill. Traces that it had recently been opened. Wait, what? And something else was found, quite clearly. The defendant, Machi Tobei's fingerprints. What? What?
Order! Order! Order!
That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Herr Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie. It's a stairway, you know. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping up in the audience. So this was his decisive evidence.
Quite decisive indeed.
I know the circumstances under which the body was found. I was there. An examination of the crime scene was enough to nail down the killer. I'm sure they have a good reason. They must have had a good reason to arrest Machi. And I'm gonna find out what it was. So actually, the reason they arrested him wasn't down to that last bit. It was down to something else earlier in the statement. Well, these statements look incongruous, but pressing, of course, reveals more. So we've skipped to the end. Now let's start from the start. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes? That's right. What was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert. My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yes? Allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, in obvious, my keys that whole morning. No, the whole day was ruined. That's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hog to the show. I can open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own.
What's this? Prosecutor Gavin, if your keys were in the victim's hand, that makes you a prime suspect.
Yes, it does. Except he was performing on stage at the time. Love, slow acting and you, at your quinine, is waiting for you. He's singing something. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor, adrift on a sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the case.
Ah, I see. I can accept that.
Well, I can. What do you mean time on their hands?
Please, the testimony.
Right, only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. Now, there was someone with a headset that's gone missing. We were let in, though. I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. I gave the Fraulein special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great. Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off. So no other outsiders were there then. And then, at the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots. You were the one chatting. I was eating snackoos.
Ah, hey! No snacking in court.
And you're sure the shots came from Lamiroir's room? Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this will keep you quiet. Don't you tongue me. Ah, thanks. So, how about it? Emma? We were right. There. How do you be mistaken on that?
Please, either talk or eat, not both at the same time.
Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. Next testimony. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body. We haven't found anything yet. Rock? Blaring, yes.
When you say rock, are you referring perhaps to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days?
That's right. I went into the dressing room. Music was blaring over the speaker on the wall. They piped sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage. Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the Gaviners with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always had the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked in the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime.
You could hear that music playing.
Then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation.
I believe that's enough of that.
So basically what we need to do was press everything. We weren't finding anything at all, even though it must have been the last sentence that was the most pertinent, which is what I went for.
The prosecution had a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was washed, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if it wasn't in a hurry to make hospital visit.
I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough.
It can't be over already. Very well. I believe this trial is finished.
Don't be so hasty, Judge.
If the defense has no contradicting evidence,
the prosecution has presented our proof. Clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain. Apollo, they've got us on the ropes already. We'd better come up with something quick. I know. Think, what can get us out of this? We need evidence or a witness that can prove Machi is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that...
Mr. Justice,
a witness, you say?
do you have a contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell us about it now.
This is it. It's so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. We'll call a witness. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, At Your Quinine, My Love. There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness.
Oh, really now? And how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not?
Because I am the only one in the world who knows this. Apart from you blabbing it to other people. What's going on? I just talked to him, and now... He's alive! Mr. The Twos, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry. You're gonna be fine. Help is on the way.
Can't see.
Hang in there, Mr. Lotus. Tell me, who is the witness?
The witness is Siren. What? How many times are we going to see this scene? The victim said this before he died?
Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What do you mean by that? All we know is what Hair Forehead says he said. There's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. But it's the truth! He said it! I even told you about it! But apparently you ignore me completely! It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job.
That's enough! Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty.
Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for? There's no backing out now.
Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice.
The Siren. Lamiroir.
Lamiroir?
Recall Mr. Latus's last words.
The witness is Siren. How many times? The Siren. Aha! He meant the Siren.
Yeah. You know, capitalizing it makes it better. Like a name. That's right. Siren of the Ballad. Lamiroir. Lamiroir was only on stage for the second set. And she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness.
I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
My claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime.
Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Skye's cross-examination. Please show Lamiroir to the witness stand.
Lamiroir would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her no matter what it is. It is my distinct honor to welcome the Siren of the Ballad to our courtroom. You are too kind.
Ah, you can speak English?
Yes. Yes, I can. Though I am not very good. There is much I do not know.
You speak so well. Have you spent time here before?
Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it.
What does she mean she doesn't know? I too thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course. What's that? Lamiroir suffers from amnesia.
Amnesia?
Lamiroir is not my true name, yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage.
Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought! As lauded singer Lamiroir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her, thanks to her success. Yet, I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress.
I see. I care surprisingly little about people's past. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lamiroir.
Thank you. Now, there is something I do not understand. I'm being called as a witness? What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened.
Lamiroir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant as you stand.
Oh my. Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy.
Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime.
As for what I saw nothing.
Thank you, that helps.
That night, I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room. Wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying.
I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying. There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray the defense has the sense to admit defeat. And refrain from detaining her here longer than need be.
Wow, you just got badder, Apollo. Way to go!
Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet.
Lamiroir wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. As for what I saw nothing.
Did you now? But you must have seen something. Yeah, that's a good retort.
Mr. Latouche named you. Mr. Latouche? How can I tell you what I don't know?
Lamiroir, he said you were a witness with his dying words.
I do not know what he meant to say, but that night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did.
It was a great concert.
You heard me sing? Thank you.
I was hoping to get an autograph later, actually.
Of course. Of course, even.
Mr. Justice, this is a cross-examination. You're out of line. If anyone deserves an autograph here, it's me. One on my gavel would be nice.
That, of course, comes from trying to read things too fast, expecting there to be more in the sentence.
Of course. Oh, of course,
is what we really meant to say.
Head Judge, what's this?
It's my autograph. Now keep this trial moving.
What? Oh, my grandchild will be so happy.
Apparently his grandson is a big fan. Let us continue, shall we? If you would, Lamiroir, tell us what you did after your stellar performance.
I did not return backstage after the second set.
You did not return backstage once? Where were you then? What were you doing?
I was cleaning up on stage. There are many things I must do for my performance other than simply sing.
And was Machi with you at the time?
Unfortunately, I do not know where he was.
So much for an alibi for Machi. Great, you said he was with you all the time. For a blind boy, he gets around a lot. Without, like, a cane or anything. Obviously, he's very good and very comfortable with his surroundings.
Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there.
With Machi, correct? How was he then?
He seemed as he always does. I believe he was shocked by the news of Mr. Latouche's death. Yet, he is not the type to show much emotion.
Yes, he's given the police no end of headaches. He answers most questions with silence, and those glinting frames speak nothing. The questioning hasn't gotten very far.
We sat there waiting. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
How was the incident explained to you?
I was told nothing in detail, only that Mr. Latouche died.
Of course, investigations require some security.
But Mr. Latouche was my manager. I wanted to know more. I should have been told. Both Machi and I were beside ourselves with concern.
Allow me to apologize, but please understand. Keeping you in the dark was as painful for me as it was for you.
Yes, I understand.
Think, what doesn't ring true about her testimony?
It's hard to imagine Lamiroir lying.
She might not be lying, but she's hiding something.
What wouldn't she tell me the night of the murder?
It's about witnessing. I mean, we have this found at the crime scene. We know what this means, but that doesn't really help. But I wasn't told the details is the thing that's getting me here. So what are we looking at? Obviously he says that he witnessed it. What has he written there? That's another question. The whole Machi being away from the thing. Our bracelet isn't working. Ooh, this is a bit of a harder one.
I not returned backstage after the second set.
Really? You did not? Okay. But your thing got there, which would prove that wrong. What am I presenting to? I imagine I'm presenting the brooch. But then she could have dropped it earlier. Then do we have a picture of her during the gig? Just saying she saw nothing is a bit of a thing. I reckon I'm probably presenting the brooch to this. Oh, I don't know. Right. I don't know if it's that. I don't know what statement to go at. But I imagine if it's... let's just go with my first gut feeling. Probably gonna have to power of editing this at this point in time, but... it must be the brooch, because it's just a physical object of when she got there. But then she'll probably just reply, like, must have dropped it earlier, but I don't have any evidence to say she had it on the gig. Am I overcomplicating this? Objection! I am. I'm sorry, Lamiroir, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, that's Lamiroir's. She was wearing it for a song. Oh, thank you. You're the one who proves that. Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? Really? See, this is what I was umming and ahhing over, is that we didn't have proof, and then blooming Gavin says it. What? His brooch was found after the murder took place, at the very scene of the crime. What? Lamiroir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night. Ah, I got overcomplicated by thinking about that, and then Gavin just blurts it. What is the meaning of this? Lamiroir, please explain. Lamiroir? Back to Borganese. She says English is quite difficult. That trick's not going to work here. Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact. What now? In fact, at the time of the incident, your forehead was gleaming. I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak. Is she really saying all that? What was she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident occurred. Ah, is she talking about that? Oh, the badum. The badum. Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup. Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. the Twos, can you hear me? Cold, so cold. Witness, let me die. Don't let me see the scene again. You're cold? So don't worry. You're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. The witness is Siren. Siren? How could a siren witness anything? Yipes. Emma? What's that? Who's there? What's wrong? Emma, did you see anyone just now? Huh? No. I could have sworn I heard a door close. I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you. So this is when your brooch dropped? That explains that. It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it. That's ridiculous! You only looked in for an instant, but you dropped your brooch? Her forehead. She has raised a possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence.
So she looked into the crime scene.
Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice.
Her forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed.
I closed the door immediately.
Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony.
That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lamiroir, you did look into the room though, right?
Yes.
Testify as to what you saw.
Very well. There was only the briefest of glimpses. When my performance was finished, I went backstage for just a moment.
Okay then. Okay then. I wouldn't have noticed that if I was playing on the DS. Funny. Oh no, wait. You'd notice it really easy if you were on DS. I play side-by-side screens. That's interesting. The glowing of my bracelet once more. There's something in that exact statement. In the new statement. Or in this one. So there's two statements. This one has been modified. This one's been added. Okay, we have to perceive something, and it's probably in one of those two. Probably in the added testimony rather than the new one, the modified one. But we'll see next time. It took me a while to kind of get that last bit right, even though I was right the first blooming time. But now, hopefully, things will be a little easier, he says with perception of a sentence to find. What am I going to be looking for, is what I wonder. Tune in next time for more Apollo Justice. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.